Hello everyone, this is Claudia from barbaspa.com, and today I wanted to do something with a sentiment that I made up from two separate sentiments, and then that is you fill my day with color. And the idea in my mind was that I will make a card that up everything is colored in gray, and more down it becomes full of color and vibrancy. And that is the meaning of the sentiment that I had, like you fill my day with color. To do that, I started with some watercolor paper, and you might notice that on the back my watercolor paper looks funny. That's because I have a pack of kind of watercolor postal cards that you can make yourself and then send in the post. Those are cheaper than regular watercolor, so I bought those ones. Anyway, what I did is I cut in a diagonal a strip. That's where my sentiment is going to be, and then I united the two pieces again. You can do that, they're gonna be just shorter. And then I stamped one big I had one big stamp with really nice flowers, and I just stamped them over the line, and now they look like they continue, even if you make something in between, they will look like you stamped them once. And I picked some of my Spectrum Noir pencils, and I'm coloring them. So I have my Spectrum Noir mineral spirits. That's like an odorless mineral spirits. It's like paint thinner, but not as strong as paint thinner, and it doesn't smell like paint thinner. And with the paper stamp, you can just move the color around and smooth it. So the way I do it is I start with my lightest color, so my lightest gray. I kind of put the color almost everywhere on the flower or on the parts that I want to put the color in, and then I smooth everything out with one of the paper stamps. Now, mind you, there are different types of paper stamps, and I think the ones that I have opened are not really the Spectrum Noir ones. There are some older ones that I have, and the problem I have with these ones is that they're very hard. So you have to press a bit longer to get the color moving. So you might want to try out different paper stamps. I hear that there are paper stamps that are softer, more fluffier, and so on. So I don't know, I'm gonna try different brands, and then maybe I'll do an explanation video on different paper stamps, but it still works. So after I do my lightest color, I go in with the medium and then the darker color, and I usually only put the color on the parts where I want to emphasize to give it more of a 3D. I could say that I'm doing the shadows there, but actually I don't really take care of where does the light come from. I'm not very good at that, and I usually put my darker color where the actual line of my stamped image is, and I try to keep it on one flower all on the same side so that you don't get a bit crazy from it. But I don't really care about where the light comes from and so on, but it still looks nice and it still gives it a bit of a 3D feel. So I colored the upper part of this panel, and then I'm gonna color the down part of the panel with really colored pencils. So I chose these are the primary set of Spectrum Noir pencils. So I chose some pinks and kind of purplish color. I had two blues. Most of the time you don't need three colors of this in the same range, unless you're dealing with let's put it this way, if you have a big image, then probably multiple colors will work just fine and you can do really nice shading. But on this kind of images, I know they look big when I'm showing them on the video, but they're not as big and they're a bit intricate. So if you're gonna add multiple shades of color, you're not gonna notice that anyway, so I don't bother. I usually do just two colors, one lighter and one darker. And I'm switching actually stamps. I'm usually using one stamp per kind of color range. So one for the blues, one for the pinks, one for the yellows, and otherwise I'll have to sand in between, but I'm usually not as impatient to sand in between, so I just use one stamp for each of the colors, because you don't want to mix the colors, then it becomes muddy and ugly. Anyway, with using mineral spirits, there's one catch, is that the liquid kind of dries very fast, so you cannot really move around the color as much as you want until you actually have to dip your stamp again in the mineral spirits. I saw a video of some people that are using the oil kind of special liquid to move the color around, and with that one the stamp stays wet longer and you can really make nicer coloring. I really wanted to buy the oil, like you can use baby oil and so on, and I actually went to the supermarket thinking, oh, I'm gonna buy some baby oil, and when I saw the price of that, I'm like, first of all, how do parents actually can afford to buy that thing? I mean, for one very small bottle you can pay up to 10 euros. I was like, no way, I'm not buying that stuff. So I stick to my mineral spirits. I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave it. I don't really need. But it's amazing the prices when I went to that baby aisle with all the baby stuff. What's up with the prices, man? Anyway, besides that, sorry if I was laughing too hard here. This is kind of my finished panel, so I decided to put something really nice, like strong, as a base card. So I have this really nice paper that I think I have it from a Simon Says stamp kit, and I am actually arranging the panels, and I'm putting the little piece that I cut in the middle so that I can see where my sentiment needs to be. So I'm making some marks with the pencil, and then I know where I'm gonna do it. And because my base card is darker in color, I have to emboss it, so I'm using an embossing powder to just kick out all the static, because it's quite dry in the house, and I have lots of creams on my hand, and that's kind of what I mean by static. It's oily and everything. You need to remove that one, otherwise your embossing powder really sticks where you don't want to. So I'm using some white embossing powder, and I'm gonna heat set that. Now the sentiment is from Simon Says stamp sentiment that I got also in one of the kits. I think it was one of the summer kits, and it was that sentiment with all the crayons and You Color My Life and so on. And I decided to make like You Fill My Day with Color, and I think the card really suggests that your day is normally like gray and has no fun in it, but as long as you are with your friends or with your loved one, all of a sudden it looks really bright and colorful. So I decided to put these panels on some pop foam squares, and I'm using the EK Success ones because they are not as thick as the previous one I was using. So whenever you're buying yourself 3D foam squares, you have to look at the thickness. So I usually have something that is not so thick, but it still gives a bit of a lift, and there are some that are really thick when you put them. So you have to decide what type. There's not one size fits all, so you have to be careful when you buy them. I was thinking that this kind of looks my card, but it needed a bit something in the corner because it was kind of too white, and I decided to put some sequins. And of course I had to search all around for sequins. I wanted it up to be something monochromatic, so I chose my sequins based on the colors that I use on the card. So that's why I have this black sequins. So I'll put a black and a silver sequin that looks like a bit like gray up, and down I'm gonna choose a pink one, a green one, and a blue one, so that kind of matches with the colors that you use in a card. And you know, this was kind of a simple card. It did take a while to color in, but it was not something super heavy in technique or anything. I didn't mind coloring, I didn't pay attention. Basically, I just wanted something that pops. You don't have to really think that much when you're coloring. I think my biggest problem was deciding where I'm going to arrange the three sequence, and I'm using some glossy accents. I actually wanted to use the other one, the matte medium, but I had the problem with the bottle was a bit clogged and I couldn't find anything to poke it open with. So until then I'm using the glossy accents. There's no actual problem in using glossy accents. The only thing is try not to put too much, because if it dries it will be glossy, so you don't want it to seep out from under your sequin. That's the only thing that you want to avoid. So I really hope you enjoyed this card and got you inspired into making your own, and try to make something that plays on words, something that is not the same color everywhere, that's something that makes a transition, like from gray to colorful, or from dull colors to more vibrant colors. That would be some nice idea. And this Valentine days, when you're planning Valentine Days card, you don't have to just plan for your loved one, but you can plan for your friends. And this kind of cards, play on words, are very suitable, I think, for friends, not necessarily for loved ones. And how many times can you use the I love you sentiment? I mean, I got tired of it. Anyway, hope to see you on the next card, and let me know what you think about this, and I hope you guys give it a try. Thank you again, thanks for watching, and see you next time.